Hello everybody! My name is Amanda and today I'll be talking about the environmental consequences of Ukraine and Russia war, the current damage and the estimates for future recovery. Let's start with climate. Military operations globally could account for as much as 5.5% of total carbon emissions. 37 million tons of CO2 could be from military operations and fuel consumption, and another 77 million tons of CO2 are unaccounted, and they miss attributions, so they don't know if it's from Russia or Ukraine. Another 54.7 million tons of CO2 will be needed to restore Ukraine's infrastructure and facilities. Let's just remind ourselves, this war is ongoing, this number is just increasing as time passes. Ukraine makes up less than 6% of Europe's land. However, it hosts 35% of the whole Europe biodiversity. It's also known as the Green Heart of Europe. Unfortunately, key species like the steppe eagle and the Eurasian lynx are now on the blink of extinction due to habitat destruction. And in the Black Sea, hundreds of dolphins have died due to warfare-related disturbances. Initially, at the beginning of the war, it decreased the air pollution due to low civil vehicle usage and the decreased industrial activities. However, as the war progressed, bombings, destruction of fuel storage facilities, attacks on industrial plants, extensive movement of military vehicles increased air pollution significantly again. The destruction of buildings released hazardous materials like asbestos into the air. A third of Ukraine's land is today unfit for agriculture. 40% of the land that is still fit for agriculture is not being used because it's probably located in a conflict area. And it severely impacted the exportation of grains and fertilizers. Ukraine is the biggest fertilizer producer and exporter, and it really affected its economy. The conflict has also caused deforestation, soil degradation, and loss of carbon storage, leading to desertification and soil erosion in some areas. Approximately 29% of Ukraine territory is heavily contaminated with landmines and unexploded ordnance. Over 300,000 explosive devices have been absorbed and neutralized. They will fall somewhere and they will contaminate that area, and it has long-lasting negative environmental effects. Another issue is Russian military targeting nuclear plants. Radiation contamination is imminent. Ukraine's nuclear infrastructure includes 4 nuclear power plants and 15 reactors, and because they are under significant threat, they were put into a safer cold shutdown mode. Due to this shutdown, they are not using renewable energy because nuclear energy is renewable, and because they are the second largest producer of gas, they will probably return to use of it, and of course, they will use coal again. In Ukraine, groundwater supplies 25% of the drinking water, and it's facing contamination due to the war residue and flooding of abandoned coal mines. Those ones they are using for electricity, so when the conflict happens, they have to abandon it, and it can cause contamination. Unfortunately, another targeting of Russia into Ukraine's energy points are the dams. Kakhovka Dam has been destroyed in June last summer, and it caused severe floods, again affecting settlements and agricultural land. It resulted in hazardous substance contaminating the Dnieper River, and huge wildlife losses have been accounted. And due to the loss of irrigation, the farmland was put at risk of desertification. Overall, this catastrophe on its own caused an estimated 3.1 billion of economic damage. After the destruction of the Kakhovka Dam, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the climate activist Greta Thunberg accused Russia of ecocide and claimed justice. The EU already criminalized severe cases of ecocide, and both Ukraine and Russia recognizes ecocide as a crime. Ukraine is already looking into potentially prosecute Russia for the crime. The price of destruction and reconstruction. During the first year at war, Ukraine has contracted its GDP by 30%. Damage to its environment and infrastructure could reach over $50 billion. Ukraine is currently advocating to hold Russia financially responsible for the climate damage caused by the war. They expect to raise almost $10 billion of damages. UNESCO said they will need almost $1.5 billion to fix scientific infrastructure. And the World Bank expects Ukraine to take over 50 years to reconstruct its country. Have some final considerations to make. We've reached the end of my presentation. The main points of my coursework have been presented to you. My initial research had over 10,000 words, and I had fought very hard to decrease it to 2,500. So if you have any doubts that need clarification, I am more than happy to discuss further. Please do send me an email. And also, I do apologize for such a last-minute presentation and for not going in person. Unfortunately, I'm from south of Brazil, and my land has been devastated with climate issues. You probably have seen it in the news. And I am constantly in contact with my family, and due to that, I also had some medical issues and I couldn't go, so I do apologize for that. And I really hope to see you in person in my graduation. So see you in September. Thank you very much.